I'm not going to comment on other people's families that I do not know or understand the dynamics of, because it's not my place. But I'm seeing, in the context of a world that is on its knees at the moment, with wars and division and entire populations being wiped out and whole states basically fighting for their lives in a completely unfair situation that is shocking, to say the least. The entire internet has exploded in terms of taking sides about a family that they don't know intimately and can't. Fine. Distract yourselves however you need to. I get it. But what I'm not seeing in any of these obsessive and prolonged discussions is the responsibility that the press has had in inventing this term Nepo baby, which hobbles any child of a famous person to a degree that I think is really hard to understand. Yeah, okay, you could say, well, they have money and they have famous parents and they've had opportunities. How many dynasties of famous and rich people do you know in which there's just this massive history of loads of them killing themselves? Obviously, as a thinking person, you can see that that doesn't solve everything. And sometimes it's not even the case. There's a lot of people who appear to be rich and successful who are literally not. But the press has invented this term Nepo baby. I'll say it. I'm a proud fucking Nepo baby. What I did was follow in the family trade. My dad was a famous actor, my mum was an actress, my stepdad was a director, and it was lucky for me that their work was largely in the UK, and I chose quite young to come to America where nobody had heard of any of them, and I was able to carve out my own career kind of away from that. And this was pre-social media as well, which was a gigantic advantage too. Plus which the term Nepo baby had not been invented. But anyway, before it's invented, you're still in any family with any successful parent. Say your dad's a really successful greengrocer, really successful doctor, really successful lawyer, really successful, I don't know, landlord. As the child, you still have to go through a process of self-differentiation to carve out your own identity and your own life that incorporates your family but also is separate from your family. And those kids don't get a chance. What they get from an excruciatingly young age is to be unfavorably compared with adult successful human beings while they're going through puberty or God knows what difficulties they're going through on a public stage, and receive comments and hatred that would bury most people if they got one. And these kids get them in their thousands. And in all of these discussions that I'm seeing about people saying, whose fault is it? Who's the bad guy? I don't care, actually, because it's none of my fucking business. But if you think you've come to a hatred of Nepo babies by yourself, you haven't. You have been brainwashed into it by largely the tabloid press, who are absolutely invested for clicks in fomenting hatred against vulnerable children. I don't care if their fucking parents are rich or famous. Children are inherently vulnerable. And the years between, 12 and 30 are years in which everybody is trying to self-differentiate from their family and carve out their own identity. And if the press is on you, basically from birth, trying their hardest to make out that somehow you're a piece of shit because of who you were born to, in which, by the way, you had absolutely no choice, that's disgusting. We have a very, very long and detailed history of young men and women killing themselves because of online hate. And children of famous people are supposed to somehow be bulletproof and absorb all of that. They aren't any different from anyone else. There is no insurance against receiving massive amounts of hate as a young person. Even as an old person, it's upsetting. But as a young person who's figuring out their identity,